So welcome back to part 3. We're headed to Greece and Turkey on this segment. But first we have a beautiful day at sea to relax. So we thought we would take in the port talk for Tanya, Crete. We learned a little bit about this port, but first we wanted to do a little bit of wine tasting. So we decided to do the wine tasting experience on board. We had some cheese and snacks to go along with our 5 tastings. Then we enjoyed an espresso martini in the afternoon. And then that evening, we had the opportunity to enjoy a balcony dinner. Highly recommend this if you're going on a cruise. The balcony dinner is a wonderful experience. We had some beautiful weather. We scheduled ours at 7:30, so we had to finish up our dessert right at sunset. Beautiful evening, beautiful lady with a beautiful sunset. Upon arrival in Crete, we were greeted with a gorgeous morning to enjoy the day. Crete is an island, of course, in Greece. So we got off the ship and headed down to the transfer, grabbed a transfer bus to downtown Anya, and just kind of walked around, enjoyed the sights, the different streets around there. We went to the city square, of course, and then right next to the city square is the little bay that it's known for there in Crete. They have a lot of wonderful little cafes and shops along the waterfront. We found this people making these giant bubbles on the street trying to raise some money for some cause. But here's that bay. It's about 2/3 of the way around. There's just all kinds of shops and fun little cafes and stuff. Of course, the water's crystal clear there. Beautiful setting to enjoy. There's this mosque that's right along the bay. Of course, plenty of yachts to be seen everywhere. It is the Med. So as we continued our day, we did a little shopping, little cafes along the way, street vendors and whatnot, just enjoying the sights of the bay. And then there was some music. And of course, with music, it's time for an Aperol Spritz. So we enjoyed that, moved along, again, continued our day with some more shopping, walking around through the different streets and vendors. Narrow streets, lots of people there. It was quite warm for the day. But as the day progressed, we got a little hungry, and so we were looking for some place to have some lunch. And we did find a place a little off the beaten path to have some lunch. It was called the Zani. And we sat down there, had some wonderful service. Of course, we had to have Aperol Spritz. I enjoyed the Slovaki, and Sherry had the Euro. And then, of course, a little ouzo to finish off the day. So we completed our lunch and did a little more shopping and walking around, and then headed back to the ship to say goodbye to Crete. We have another wonderful day at sea ahead of us. So it was, again, a beautiful day. Our weather was spectacular. And as we sailed along, we went to the Dardanelles Passage. This is a passage that's between Europe and Asia. It had a war memorial along the one side, and they gave us some information about that. We decided to have a little vodka soda and a boulevardier in the afternoon as we sailed through the passages there. As we cruised along, we were headed for the world's longest suspension bridge. This is a bridge that reminds us a lot of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. Very similar style, just a little bit longer than the San Francisco Golden Gate. So as we sailed under this bridge, got some good views and pictures. It was very close going under the bridge, but again, beautiful sailing day with the opportunity to enjoy that. Then we had a beautiful sunset for the evening, and headed to bed. Unfortunately, we were awakened at 1 a.m. with an announcement of man overboard, and this was in fact a man overboard situation. So they sent out the searchlights, stopped the ship, turned it around, put out the searchlights, looking for this individual. They did have 7 boats searching all night, from local authorities to that of the ship, looking for this person. So throughout the night they searched, but unfortunately the person was still missing by morning. So we had to have the authorities finalize their details. And then after breakfast, we were able to set sail, heading for Istanbul, our next port, but we were going to be a little late getting there. But it was a beautiful day at sea. Again, beautiful weather, unbelievable. Upon arrival here at Istanbul, as you can see, Istanbul, very spread out. They have 2 sides to Istanbul. They have the Asian side and the European side. And Istanbul is just an enormous city. It's said to have 17 million people in Istanbul. So it was quite a bustling city, and not just a quaint little port. But as you can see, it was spread out immensely. So once we got to the port, we did go ashore for a brief period of time. But while we were waiting, of course, we had a spritz, disembarked the ship. And as we got off the ship, there was some mosques there in the terminal area. We went outside the terminal for a brief minute. There was this little ticket you had to have to get on and off in Istanbul, which was a little different. But we boarded the ship back, had a couple of cocktails in the afternoon. There's the Norwegian ship leaving. We had some wine with dinner and a nice, beautiful sunset to say goodbye to Istanbul for the day. As we left Istanbul and making our way towards Athens, we had to then turn around and go straight back through the Strait of Dardanelles. And as you can see, the water was absolutely like glass. It was a beautiful afternoon, evening for sailing. We, of course, had to enjoy another spritz while we were sailing along and saying goodbye to Istanbul and the Dardanelles. Here's the pilot getting ready to board to guide us through the strait. And once again, we were coming up to the bridge, that longest suspension bridge. The one interesting part here is if you look very closely up on the top, there are 2 workers on the very top of that bridge that were waving to us as we were going under the bridge. Thought that was a little interesting. So, well, next up is Athens in part 4. We hope you have enjoyed this little snippet of our trip. See you then.
Cruising for a boozing, we're shaking up fun. From the tiki bar to the pool deck, we're second to none.